Good morning, YouTube! We've heard a lot about inflation over the past few years, where everything is more expensive than it used to be, which is why my entire wardrobe is 10 or 15 years old. It was cheaper and better back then.
You did. You were showing me pictures the other day of something that happened like 20 Thanksgivings ago wearing the exact same shirt.
The same pullover. It's great.
Which is fine.
But one thing that we don't talk about all that much is shrinkflation.
Is that a thing?
That is a big thing right now with products and some other things. One big surprise, something I found today, but shrinkflation normally applies to products getting smaller.
Oh,
so
yeah.
they keep the prices the same, but they give you less. And there's a lot of examples of this recently happening, starting with Oreo double stuffed cookies, which I noticed this the last time I ate an Oreo double stuffed. Look how they are now.
Wait, so you've noticed a difference between double stuffed?
That is double stuffed Oreos in 2023, which that used to be probably a normal Oreo.
No, I don't like double stuffed Oreos, and then they had like the triple stuffed and quadruple stuffed. What is that face? Seriously?
Who doesn't like double stuffed Oreos?
No.
It's like the standard now, but now it's back down. Yeah, you need to buy a triple or quadruple stuff to get the old school double stuff.
It's too much stuffing. It's gross. Who likes triple, quadruple? Bleh, bleh.
Okay.
But that's wrong. I don't think they should be able to do that.
Anyway, so like hefty bags, they went from 90 to 80 bags.
So that's the tricky thing, is they're still charging the same price, but then just giving you less product, is what you're saying.
Right.
I wonder if the plastic's actually thinner on those bags, too.
Gatorade, another big one.
Even underneath the Gatorade bottles, they like pop up the plastic, so you're getting less Gatorade, too.
Yeah, so it's not 32 ounces anymore. It's a 14% drop, 28 ounces. But they said it's to help with the grip, to give it a better grab, you know, if you're an athlete on the go.
It's more aerodynamic to grab. What does that mean?
Yeah.
No, if you're running with a Gatorade bottle, this one's more aerodynamic.
It saves money. Yeah.
That's wrong.
Poor Neelix. Look at this. The Royal Canin went from 5.9 to 5.1 ounces, so an almost 20% drop in wet cat food.
That's really sad.
I know.
I feel like they want us to slim down maybe, though. They're trying to help us out in
Right.
portion size.
Well, and ice cream going from 56 to 48 ounces for a tub of ice cream.
This is just wrong.
And there's examples of the same tubs, but then they're able to get like an air pocket on the bottom to really get people.
Oh, yeah.
Sneaky. Toilet paper. This is a really sad one. Have you noticed that it doesn't last as long?
Why does it make you
Cottonelle
sad?
going from 340 little squares to 312. How dare they?
That's wrong. That's crazy. Why would they do that?
Which it's the worst thing in the world when you realize you've run out of toilet paper in the middle of.
What do you do? Have you ever asked your stall partner for paper under the stall? Wait, do you guys go in
You've
stalls
heard this
ever?
song before.
What song?
Stranded, stranded, stranded on the toilet bowl. You've heard this before?
No.
What do you do when you're stranded and you can't find a roll?
Is this a Kansas song?
I do it with a twang. To prove you're a man, you must use your hand. Jake, you heard that one?
Have you heard
No?
No. Is that what your dad taught you?
Possibly, which is why I do it. He has a pretty big twang when he talks.
It's very conservative.
Yeah, or you use the cardboard little roll itself as like a, a scraper.
No, a scraper.
Yeah.
No.
In an
this
emergency
is not-
situation.
Can we just never
Anyway, moving
air
on.
this ever?
Toblerone chocolates, which look a little. Anyway,
I can't get past
look at this. They have made it 25% smaller by making the grooves wider on the chocolates.
That's wrong, because it
Isn't that
looks
terrible?
like the triangles are still pretty much the same size, maybe a little bit bigger, but that's robbery right there.
Very, very sneaky. And then toothpaste going from 4.1 to 3.8 ounces. That's a lot. So toothpaste not lasting as long.
That's wrong.
And then ground beef from a food delivery service. You know, you order online subscription.
Yeah.
We tried that, and it's just such little portions that it's hard to feed two people with.
It's so bad.
Well, this one is marked for 10 ounces of ground beef, and look at the actual amount, 6.84 ounces.
I feel like that's illegal, though, isn't
very
it?
much. I mean, since it's part of a service where they're delivering it,
Right.
I mean, it's not buying it from the shelves.
Yeah.
It's still really shady. Yeah.
How can they actually do that?
Yeah, and then soap.
What is
Look,
this?
3 years of soap. 4 ounces for Dove soap in 2019.
Right.
3.75 in 2021. 3.17 in 2022 in the same box.
Well, I mean, this one I wonder if they just have different sizes of soaps and someone just kind of wrangled it together and say, look what Dove's doing, they're terrible.
Maybe, but then how about a Chipotle burrito?
Oh.
Have you had one recently?
Who can finish a Chipotle burrito?
Well, look at them now. Look at this picture.
They're huge. They're
No, they're
obnoxious.
not. Look how
Even
much
the
they've
burrito
shrunk.
bowls.
So they used to be as big as your head.
Well, they used to be
10,
where
15 years ago.
you couldn't even fold them. Like the person making it had a hard time. They're like using their elbow to fold the burrito over and like their spit to like tape it shut. And now it's tiny.
I've noticed that they have gotten tiny. I didn't think of it because it was probably a gradual thing, but they are smaller than they were 10, 15 years ago when it used to be a crazy thing to get a burrito and feed you all day.
They used to hook you up.
And then that is a full stack of IHOP pancakes now, which I've been to IHOP in forever, but you would think it'd be this big. You remember as a kid or whatever. Now it doesn't even fill half a
Normally,
plate.
like back in the day, you couldn't even finish a stack of pancakes, which is my point here is you putting syrup on top of the pancakes directly on top of them, which is wrong and wild. You're supposed to put syrup on the side. He always just dumps it right on top, which is just out of control.
She thinks that's strange that you
it's very
pour syrup
strange.
on top of pancakes.
No.
And so now I have had to adjust because we share pancakes to where I have to dip my pancakes now, which I imagine only 2% of the population, like maybe the Queen of England did it because that was more proper, versus everybody else who just pours it on top.
No, not everyone else.
We're getting sidetracked.
Not everyone else.
So those are some of the biggest or smallest examples of shrinkflation in products. But now this one person, Amy Nixon, she is a housing and economics analyst. She thinks shrinkflation is happening with housing because housing prices have gone down 20% in the last year. But she thinks it's because of the size and the quality of the homes, because this is what is being sold in San Antonio right now.
Whoa. What is that? That's not even a house, is it?
Yeah, I know. These are single-family homes in San Antonio, what you can get for under $200,000, and they are only 400 square feet.
What?
And they are building them like crazy because that's what people can afford right now. They need cheap housing. This is a solution, like 1/10 of an acre of a lot and 400 square feet.
I mean, like, I appreciate that because you want to be able to afford a house. When you work hard, you save your money. You want to be able to have something of your own and an actual home. But I feel like two people can't even walk by next to each other. Like, what happens if you're like a guy that's like 300 pounds, but you're just like a big guy? Like, you're not obese or whatever. You're just a big guy. Like, you're not going to be comfortable in a home like that.
It's going to be very tight for anybody in any kind of family at all. I don't see how. I mean, it looks like you could just barely lay across this thing and fit. But yeah, that's the building boom in San Antonio.
Right.
And she did address some of the naysayers, this Amy Nixon. She said, and don't give me my boomer parents raised 3 kids in a 900 square foot house, because they paid $17,000 for it and overlooked the ocean in California. These are on a 1/4 acre lot and they're 400 square feet, and their view is power lines.
Right. No,
So very different.
No, this is weird, and I feel like, of course, home prices are going down when you're building homes that are this tiny. Shrinkflation is real.
Yeah, I agree, but starter homes are supposed to be small. They're supposed to be modest. You're starting out, it's your very first house, and then you grow into a bigger house when you have a bigger family or you get a promotion at your job. This is how it's supposed to be, but still, at least in Kansas, starter homes were a lot nicer. When I was getting a starter home, which wasn't that long ago, I pulled it up just to go down memory lane here. Here it is. I built this house brand new in 2007.
Whoa.
And, you know, kind of a cheapy starter home, not the best quality, a little bit of brick, but mostly, you know, just cheap siding.
It looks really nice, actually, for a starter home.
1/3 of an acre lot, 2,000 square feet, I believe. Yeah, 2,200 square feet.
So you built that yourself?
Correct. I bought the lot for 30 grand.
You're
And then
such
the
a
house
grown-up.
was another $130,000 to build it.
That's it?
4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, and look at the finishes.
Wait, that's huge. For
I know.
$130,000, you built 4-bedroom home.
That was the great thing about Kansas. But I did have to save some money here with the cheaper build, so the finishes weren't very nice. I did get hardwood floors, which was great, but
Did you paint those
What the
cabinets
heck?
blue?
no, those are the
Those are-
original cabinets, but they were sort of a dark wood.
Okay.
It was sort of modern. I didn't have an island, and somebody painted. What are they doing painting it blue? It's the same
like
max.
it.
Oh, yeah, that's not real granite.
Is that
It's a laminate.
Riptide blue?
I did not do that, I promise.
I'm on
I didn't
you.
do brick in the fireplace. This is really weird, but a nice big open space.
I can't believe that
Had a
cost
full-
$130,000 to build.
Look, his and her sinks, I did that. Boy, the color choices on the next person who sold this was really questionable here.
A little spastic, yeah.
Yeah, but the basement, look, I had this big projector in the basement. It was so cool.
You are fancy.
Big old
Starter
basement.
home?
I know, great starter home, but all in this was $160,000. And I sold it for a little more than that, but you see the current estimate on that house, $278,900. So it's $100,000 more than what I sold it for 10 years ago.
Right.
Not
yeah.
that long ago.
No, $100,000 more. I feel like that has been more than an increase since over our parents' lifetimes with home prices.
Actually, you're absolutely right when it comes to Kansas, because my grandmother's house in 1980 or so, she bought it for 300 grand, and then when she sold it about 10 years ago, she sold it for 300 grand. It needed updating,
Yeah.
which was part of the reason why, but houses were very stable.
Right.
They didn't accelerate in price in
Right.
Kansas much at all until very recently. So I imagine this increase was all within the last 3,
Right.
4, 5 years.
But it's also really subjective to the neighborhood and what's going on with the neighborhood, the infrastructure, the school systems, and all that. Like my first starter home on the south side of Chicago.
What was the address?
3253 West 108th Street
32.
in Chicago.
Ooh, is this it?
Yeah, oh my gosh, it's so bad.
4 bedroom, 3
It's
baths, the same
so
as mine, but
bad.
1,000 square feet.
So bad.
Wow.
Oh, that house could fall down. It's built in 1918.
Really?
What I spent $187 on it.
That's what you bought it for?
Which I feel like that's a lot for that house, but I worked so hard and I didn't spend money on anything like girly and fun and like, handbags and jewelry and like designer stuff.
Are these
all
your
I did
pictures from back in the
was
day?
save money for this house.
You had very manly living room furniture, like a
I
lazy
did.
boy, proper.
It's comfortable. So in Chicago, it's like always cold. So you're inside maybe, 10 months out of the year just watching sports. And so you want comfortable furniture.
Well, okay then. Oh wait, so now it is worth
Which
$313,000.
is very similar to the increase of your first house and over the similar time span. So $100,000 increase.
Right, but this is in a bad area, right?
Not
Because
a-
percentage-wise, mine appreciated a lot more, and it's in a good area that's grown a lot in the last 10 years.
So I would describe this neighborhood in Mount Greenwood as it's a nice-ish neighborhood, but to get to it, you got to go through some stuff that's not nice-ish.
Ah.
So, you might want some bulletproof glass on your hoopty as you're driving there. You don't want to park your Maybach in the street.
And that's one of the reasons I got you to move to Kansas.
Yes. A lot less carjackings in Kansas.
Right, and cheaper homes, I feel like.
There you get a lot for your money out
A
here.
lot of bang for the buck. Thank you so much for watching, and sorry about the shrinkage, everybody. Those are the very common
Yes.
examples of product.
Right.
What's the word?
Shrink it nation.
Shrinkflation. Shrinkflation.
Shrink nation.
There, let's try this again.
Happens when it gets cold out.
Good morning, YouTube. We've heard a lot about inflation over the last few years. The big bad, naughty inflation. Naughty. Tis.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes. Okay.